Okay, Parashat Vayishlach. The Parasha starts when Yaakov returned to the land of Israel. We would think that he will go to his father, which he didn't see for 20 years, and his mother, but he doesn't. So first we have the meeting with Esav, and after that he's going to a place called Sukkot, and after that he's going to Shechem, and after that he's going to Bethel. In the meantime, his mother already died, so he didn't see her, apparently. So even though she was alive when he returned to the land of Israel, he wasn't fast enough to see her before she died. And only after that he go to his father. So it's a long, long time. I read some, so it's not the topic, but just a parenthesis that's saying that the tzaddikim, they want to prepare very well before making the mitzvah. Right? We are saying the Shem Yichud. Before the tefillah, it says that the Hasidim Arishonim were preparing for the tefillah every day for 1 hour before starting the tefillah. So they want to prepare so good to the mitzvah. Sometimes they just stay in the preparation. They don't arrive to make the mitzvah. So Yaakov wanted so hard to prepare himself to the big mitzvah of Kibud Orim that he didn't make it. He stayed in the way too much. So it's a musar, it's a lesson that, yeah, you should prepare, but don't too much. I mean, start working, not only preparing, right? Do the things itself. This is in parentheses. So I just now want to speak about a specific verse about the second place that I mentioned, or the first place that I mentioned when he arrived to the land of Israel. It says, "Yaakov nasa Sukkota." He went to a play, he traveled to a play called Sukkot. When it's the end, hey in the end of the word, is like Lamed in the beginning, meaning to Sukkot. He traveled to Sukkot, Vayiven lo bayit, and he bought himself, and he built himself a house. Ulemikneu, so mikneu is literally would mean something that he bought, like liknot. But what it practically means, usually it's a flock, sheep and goats, right? And so the things that he bought, which are the animals that he had, we saw that he sent to Esav, camels and goats and sheep and donkeys and cows. So he had a lot of animals. He built for them Sukkot. ולמקנהו עשה סוכות. על כן קרא שם המקום סוכות. That's the reason that he called the place Sukkot. So when it says in the beginning of the verse that Yaakov traveled to Sukkot, it still wasn't the name. It's happened several times in the Tanakh. It's mentioned a name, and then it says that's why he called in this name, meaning something that happened after, right? So he went to a place, it doesn't have a name, or it has a name, and then he built himself an house, or a house, a house. He built himself a house, and for his flocks he made Sukkot, and that's the reason that he called the place Sukkot. So, like many other times, we're asking too much information. Why do you tell me that? Why do I care? Also, it looks strange that he called the place on the name of the house of the animals. I mean, this is a strange name. Why would you call a place on the name of what you built for the animals? Who is more important, Yaakov or his animals? Yaakov. So he should have called this place house. Later we have a place called Beit El, the house of God. So at least if he built himself a house, and he built for his flock Sukkot, he should have called the place. If you want on the place where you live, you should call that house. Now another question: why would he build Sukkot to animals? Since when animals lives inside Sukkah? Right?
Maybe it's winter.
When it's winter. Okay. So he stays there in the winter. Okay, maybe. Usually it's not Sukkot, right? What? Temporary residence, something like that. Place to live. Okay, maybe. Another comment here the place Sukkot is mentioned several times in the Talmud, in the Torah. One of the times when they went out from Egypt, they went to Sukkot. But this is not the same place. I mean, the Sukkot of Egypt is in the south, in the desert. And this Sukkot should be in the north because it came from the north. It doesn't make any sense that he will go until Sukkot near Egypt and go back to Shechem in the north of central north of Israel. So the Mefarshim say there are two Sukkot. The word Sukkot also repeats in Sefer Shoftim, Sukkot and Pniel, which is in the apparently the same place. Remember the story you didn't learn with us Shoftim on Wednesday morning when we learn Tanakh. It says that Gideon chased after the enemies until Sukkot and Pniel. Anyway, so it's mentioned several times in the Tanakh. Apparently there were two Sukkot in the north and in the south. Okay, so this verse, like I said before, the main question is why stay there even? Why stay there for so long time? What is the meaning of calling the name of the place Sukkot? Of course, it would remind us the holiday of Sukkot in some way. And why name on that and not on the other on the bite? Rashi add maybe based on the Talmud, add another information that maybe strengthens the question. He said, Sha'a Sham Yudchet Chodesh. He stayed there 12 months, 18 months. Yudchet Chodesh. Kites, Vechoref, Vekites. He stayed in the summer, in the winter, and in the summer. How do we know? Sukkot, kites. Sukkot, you stay in the summer. Bait, Choref. The house is for the winter, and again Sukkot kite. So what do you say? It's a verse. It says Sukkot, Bait, Sukkot. So the Sukkot was in the winter, in the summer. The Bait was in the winter, and the Sukkot was again in the summer. So according to that, the Sukkot wasn't for the animal; it was himself, and he lived sometimes in the Sukkah, sometimes in the house. Okay, that's what Rashi said. Let's see some of the explanation in the literal level or in the pshat, in the simple level. Or HaChaim says, ואם תאמר, וכי בשביל שעשה שם יעקב סוכה יקרא למקום, כן? For building a sukkah, you are calling the place Sukkot. So we are living now in Sukkot, right? We also made sukkah here, right? So should we call Edmonton Sukkot? I mean, why do you call the place Sukkah? Because you built a sukkah. It's strange, right? And then he answer, אולי כי עשה דבר חדש בחמלתו על המקנה, מה שלא עשה כן אדם קודם. He said, Yaakov invented the idea that animals are also creatures, right? That animals also deserve good conditions. So it was something new. אייפון 2, זה לא אייפון 2. Yeah, so he said, because with his being merciful, his compassion, he did something that no one did before, שיכין סוכה לבהמות, that he built a place, a shelter for the animals, ולשינוי חדש קרה מקום. So when you're doing something new, you invent something that wasn't in the world before, it's worthwhile to call it in this name. So this is the first place when they understood that animals should also have, we should also have mercy for the animals. We should also have compassion for the animals and take care of them. Yeah.
When later, the tribe that wanted to stay across the Jordan wanted to build shelters for the animals. They didn't call it Sukkot, right?
No, because it was already invented. Like I said.
No, the shelters. They didn't call those shelters.
No.
Yeah.
How it's written there? What Moshe Rabbeinu told them that they should, in the end of Sefer Bamidbar, גדרות צאן, fences. גדרות צאן נבנה למקננו פה וערים לטפנו. And cities for our children. Yeah, it doesn't mention Suka. גדרות צאן, fences. That's what usually used to. Okay, so again, Or HaChaim says the reason it was called in that name because of the new thing that was invented, that animals deserve also good conditions. Okay, nice. So that's the reason it's something new. So that's the reason it's called in this name. And why he didn't go directly to his father? ונראה לי השם, מה טעם, that's ברטנורה. Bartenura is known for his Perush for the Mishnah, but he has also Perush on the Torah, less known. Today with Sefaria, you can find many Perushim that usually are forgotten in some way. It says, what's the reason Yaakov didn't went, directly to his father, ושהה בסוכות, and he stayed in Sukkot. Why? לפי שהיה ירא לעולם מעשיו. He was afraid, he still was afraid from Esav. Also after the meeting, when Esav went to Seir, he said, I will see you later. He was still afraid. So he didn't want to arrive to Beersheba, which was much closer to Seir. It's across the river. ולכן היה ירא שלגשת ולהתקרב אליי. He didn't want to come closer to him. ועל כן שעה בדרך לראות מה יהיה. He stayed in the way to see what's going to happen. והיה שואל זה עיר שם, he stayed a little bit here, a little bit there. כי גם בשכם היה דעתו לשהות אולי המעשה שקרה לו מדינה ביתו. He was also meant to stay in Shechem longer. He stayed in Shechem only a short time, but only because of the story of Dinah. So he was going, but he wasn't sure. It's still, according to Rav Bartenura, he was still not sure what's going to happen. So he stayed until אמר לו הקדוש ברוך הוא, קום עלה בית אל. Until Hashem told him, go to Bet El. And this was like the final solution. So this is the explanation of Bartenura. Anyway, this is in the Pshat. I think that the explanations are not very strong. I mean, I don't find like good explanations that will explain all the questions that we mentioned in the simple level, right? So now we are going to see Chasidut a little bit, Moreh Cheskel the first. So in the Chasidut there are many times when you speak about this verse, they just emphasize the difference between Suka and Vayit. With Suka it's something temporal, and Vayit is something permanent. This is the main difference. So in this, after taking this principle, you can take it to different directions. For example, the temporal is this world, and the permanent is the next world. So we are talking about he made for himself, for his soul, for his essence, he made the next world, the Bait, and for his mikneh is a property, but meaning the materials, body, he built something temporal, which is Sukkot, right? So he needed to prioritize between the house and the Sukkah, between the next world and this world. So this is generally something that is repeated here in several ways. Let's see one of the explanations. So like many times, we are starting for questioning the verse in the Pshat, in the simple level, and then we are answering in the Hasidic level. Right? It's not answering in the simple level. Many times you can see similar things in Rashi, but Rashi not going Hasidic because it wasn't Hasidic, but a Midrash. He asking question on the Pshat and he answer with a Midrash. Right? It's not the Pshat. So that's how it starts. ויבן לו בית ויקנס הסוכות, על כן קרא שם במקום סוכות. וצריך להבין חדה. We should understand חדה first. מה מלמדנו בזה? What does the Torah teach us with this? ועוד, מאחר שיעקב היה רק כעובר אורח עלי דרך, so Yaakov was a traveler, meaning going from place to place, just walking in the roads, it's not living there. הולך ניחוחו ללכת לבית אביו בבאר שבע, so he meant to go to באר שבע, this is a final destination. רחנה כאן לפי שעה לנוח מעשיו ומלבן ברגל המלאכה, he said he just camped there temporarily, because of the story of Lavan, it was the story of Esav, because of the flock, because of the children, so he stayed just to rest. So apparently he doesn't accept the explanation that it was 1.5 years, or that he felt that they needed a long rest before continuing. They passed something, they had some trauma, they remember the story that we see, they fled from Lavan. Lavan was threatened to kill them. They were running away from Lavan. A meeting with Esav is also death threat for him. and there's a fight with the angel. And then he said also to Esav, I have little children here. They all, according to our calculations, the younger was Yosef with 6 years old. So the older was about 13 years old. Because all the years, if you're not going according to Ralbag, 7 years they had all the children. So we are talking about children between 6 to 13, a lot of flock, a lot of sheep and goats, etc. So he needed to rest. So he rested. But it wasn't his destination. He's not going to live there. In Ken, lama bana lo bayit? Why did he build a house? Why does he need a house? $1 million for only 1 year, right? To build a house. וסופו לעזוב הכל בקרב הימים ולנסוע לדרכו, and he's going to leave everything, like כאשר היה באמת, like it was really, right? That's what really happened. He stayed there and then he left. So the first question, what does the Torah tell us? The second question, why did he even build a house? Why did he need a house? Why did he need a house in the place when he's not going to live for the long term? ועוד, מה שנה שקרה שם במקום סוכות, הלא לא עשה סוכות רק לבהמתיו. ולמה קרא שם המקום על שם דירת הבהמות? The last question, why did he call the name of the place on the housing of the animals, right? The place where the animal lives. Okay, so these are the questions, again, in the pshat level, in the simple level. And then the answer is going to the Hasidic level. ונראה לי על פי מה שכתוב, שאומנים בבית השם בחצרות בית אלוקינו, על פי מה שכתוב, שתולים בבית השם בחצרות אלוקינו יפרחו. So there are two verses, interesting verses, that speaking about the house of God and the yard, חצר. חצר is yard, right? Yeah. So, what? Courtyard. Right. So, the first verse in Tehillim, the second because it's 135, but the first that is mentioned here, it says that standing in the house of Hashem, in the courtyard of the house of our God, bechatzrot beit Elokeinu. And then there is another verse that says shtulim bebeit Hashem, they are planted in the house of God, bechatzrot Elokeinu yefrich. We are saying that in מזמור של יום השבת. עוד ינהול לסביבה לשנים ירנים יהיו להגיד, לא, שתולים בבית השם, כן, in עוד ינהול לסביבה, yeah, so it's in מזמור של יום השבת. Planted in the house of God, in the courtyards of our God, they will blossom. Blossom? יפריחו, or strive.
Or grow up.
Grow up.
Yeah, blossom.
Okay, so this is the two verses that is going to explain. These are the two verses that are going to explain. It says, דידוע שהאדם בעולם הזה הוא רק כאורח נטה ללון, קיצל ימינו וכו'. Say, we are in this world guests that came to sleep over and continue in our way. אורח נטה ללון, it's a verse, it's a term. אורח that come to sleep and continue. There is a famous story of Shai Agnon calling this name. אורח נטה ללון. מיטל, כן. Also learned that for the בגרות in ספרות, right?
5 יחידות.
5 יחידות בספרות. כי אורח נטה ללון, and then it says also, קיצל ימינו. Our days are like shadow. In the meaning that it's passing fast. The sun going down and our days are over. Right? So meaning, this world is a very temporal place for us. It's not where we are going to live for the long term. ועיקר דירתו בעולם הבא. The permanent house, our permanent house, home, is the next world. מקום מחצב נשמתו. The origin of the creation of his soul. Our soul was created in the next world. The next world is not the world that we are going to be after the death. It's where we were before and we are going to be after. Olam HaNeshamot, the world of the souls. So there is, the next world is not where we are going to go after our death. It's the spiritual realm, the spiritual world. So our soul was there before we got born, and it will return to there after we will die. Right? This is the permanent. So we are taken from a permanent home, sent into this world as a travel, as a mission, adventure, whatever we want to call it, and then we return to our home, which is in the next world. Right? We have the opportunity to build our permanent home in this temporal place. So that's why we came here. We came to build our permanent house. right? It's like someone that's going to a trip in order to make, not to a trip, to a business travel, so he can upgrade his house, right? To rebuild his house. Okay, so we are sending here, but our permanent dira, place of living, is in the next world, the origin, the place of origin of our souls. רק שירדה על העולם הזה, so our soul went down to this world, לסגל מצוות ומעשים טובים, to make מצוות ומעשים טובים. וכל עוד נשמתו בו, as long as you live, יתעצם, you should strengthen yourself, make an effort, לעשות כל מה שביכולתו, להכין לו צידה לעולם שכולו ארוך. So you must do the best you can to prepare yourself properties, to earn property for the next world, לעולם שכולו ארוך, for the long life of the next world. כמו שכתוב, like the Gemara says, הנפטר מן החי, יאמר לו לך לשלום. אבל מן המת אומר לך בשלום. כי מי שטרח בערב שבת יאכל בשבת. When we are saying someone goodbye, we should tell him לך לשלום, go to peace. Meaning when you are going to go, whatever you are going to do, may it be peaceful, right, or successful. So we are saying, meaning he's going to do something in the next step where it's going to go. But when we are saying goodbye to someone who died, we don't say lech leshalom, we say lech beshalom, because he's not going to do anything there. Over there, he's going to do to enjoy what he did in this world. So we are wishing him that from here, the place that he's going out, it was peaceful, meaning that he could achieve what he wanted to do. But when mishtach b'Shabbat, yochal b'Shabbat, if you walked here, then you're going to enjoy in the next world. Like someone who walked on Friday, he will enjoy the meal on Shabbat. Someone that didn't walk on Friday won't have anything to eat on Shabbat. And also they said, העולם הזה דומה לפרוזדור וכו', להתקין עצמך לפרוזדור כדי שתיכנס לטרקלין. So it says that this world is like the when you're going to the hall in the pathway, מסדרון, corridor, right? So this world is like a corridor that you're going to the hall. You should walk in the corridor so you can enter to the hall. Meaning, explain, שהולכים לפני מלך או שר גדול, when you're going to meet a king or important minister, מתקנים את עצמם בחצר החיצונה. So before you enter to the palace, you are preparing your tie, your suit, right? And prepare yourself. So this is the meaning of the corridor, right? This is what we are preparing ourselves to meet in the king, to the meeting with the king. שלא יראה בו דבר מגונה, כמו שכתוב, ולא יראה בך דבר וכו'. So, now, returning to the verses that we mentioned before. So we understand now, the next world is a permanent place. This world is a temporal place. We should work in this place, in this world, so we can enjoy in the next world. This is a basic principle that we see in many places. וזה שאמר הכתוב, שתולים בבית השם, כי שם הם מושרשים. רק בחצרות אלוקינו יפריחו. It says, in the house of God, which is the next world, you are planted. You are root, the root is there. But we are growing up, בחצרות יפריחו. We are blossoming, we are growing up in this world when we are growing, right, with our actions. But the root stays there. רצה לומר שבעולם הזה שנקרא חצר, this world is called חצר, the courtyard, and the next world is called בית. So that in this world that called חצר, שם יפריחו בתורה ומצוות ומעשים טובים. So they can grow up with תורה and מצוות ומעשים טובים. על כן, so the conclusion should be, דוגמת האדם בעולם הזה הוא רק מי שנוסע ליריד, שאינו חושש כלל לעניין מאכליו ומשתה ושכיבתו על מיטה מוצעת, אדם שבביתו יש לו קול באין מחסור דבר. והיינו בעבור שכל מחשבתו על התכלית לקנות סחורה ולשוב לביתו עם רווח הרבה. So the yarid is the place, the markets, where they used to go. There was like a big selling, how do you say, fair? Maybe, yes, the fair. Okay, so it says, we are in this world like passengers that going to the fair. So when he's going to the fair, he doesn't care where he sleep, he doesn't care what he eat what you have and you sleep where you find the place, because your purpose is only to, even though you in your house, you will have a bed and you will have good food, etc. But in the way to the fair, you don't care about anything. You just go, make your business and return. So I don't know, today maybe they are going to to go to the hotel while 5 stars, and you eat better in the fair from in the house. But usually what it used to be is they used to travel a few days within the ways, no hotels, nothing that you can Airbnb or something. You just go and then you buy so you don't care about where you eat, where you drink, when you sleep. You just want to do your business and return home. So this is how we should treat this world. We shouldn't care so much about how comfortable we are, how much food we have, or that we have eat the best food, or drinking in the most fancy house, or driving the most luxury car. So this is nonsense. We have a purpose here. Why would we waste our time on things that are not important, right? That's what we say. We are in this world like in the way to the fair. It's not all the things that belong to this world are not important, shouldn't be important to us. וזה שאמר שעומדים בבית השם בחצרות אל בית אלוקינו, אף על פי שהוא עדיין בחצר, דהיינו בעולם הזה, מכל מקום, כל עמידתם וכל מעיינתם וכוונת ליבם רק בית השם לצורך קנייני העולם הבא. So he said, there is, I will explain, it doesn't say exactly, but to understand it, we should explain it a bit. There is a contradiction here. It says, the verse says, they are standing in the house of God, they are standing in the courtyard of the house of God. So where are they standing? In the house or in the courtyard? עומדים בבית השם בחצרות בית אלוהינו. Bait is one thing, and Chatzer is other thing. So where do they stand? They say, even though they are still in the Chatzer, they're only thinking about the house. Right? So even though we live in this world, the only thing that is interesting for us is the next world. We are standing now in the Chatzer, but like standing in the house of God. Okay, so this is the explanation of this verse. והנה על זה מורה מצוות סוכה. This is exactly said, the idea of Suka, one of the ideas of Sukkot. There are many, but this is interesting. I saw a lot of explanation about Sukkot, and usually it goes in the direction of after Yom Kippur we are returning to make mitzvah with this world, right? We were like angels in the shul, and then we are going to return to life. This is usually what we say. Here he says something else, almost the opposite. It says, I will read the first nivu. כי אחר עבור ימים נוראים שהכל עשו תשובה ומקבלים עליהן להשכיל ולהטיב מכאן ולהבא בעסקי שמיים, על כן מניחים בית והון וכל קנייני עולם הזה ויוצאים לסוכה שהיא דירת ארעי, לראות בזה שמשליכים אחרי גבם כל תענוגות עולם הזה רק לחסות בצילו של הקדוש ברוך הוא. So I will translate. He says this is exactly what the mitzvah of Sukkah teaches us, because in the Yamim Tovim, after the Yamim Noraim, after Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, that everybody made tshuva, and they accepted on themselves. They have the decision. You know the decision of Yamim Tovim? I will be righteous, I will be tzaddik, I will start diet, I will do everything good from now on. So this is what we are doing on Yom Kippur. It's a good thing, right? We should do that. We should say, from now on, I'm going to be a better person. I'm accepting on myself. I get in this decision. I may fail after that, right? But it's important to get the decisions because it's where your heart is, right? It's a declaration of what is important for me. Anyway, you are doing all of that. You are making tshuva and accept on yourself to learn more and to be better and to invest in the business of God, meaning b'yiskei shamayim, meaning in the spiritual part of life. So how do we prove that? Because immediately after Yom Kippur, we leave our house. We don't care where we sleep. We don't care what we eat. We don't care it's not so comfortable and there are some flies sometimes and mosquitoes and whatever. We don't, because this world is not, we are proving now, we are making a proof now. I just say we are proving now that we only care about Hashem. So we leave everything to dwell in the shadow of Hashem, which is a Sukkah. Okay, so this is the idea of Sukkot, is not returning to this world to enjoy the nature or to enjoy is to say I don't care anymore about this world. I just say that I will focus on the important thing, which is the next world, and this is the proof. I don't live in my house, I don't sleep in my bed, and I'm not staying in my comfortable dining room. Okay, so this is how we explain Sukkot. והנה ידוע, כי שם אדם נופל רק על הנשמה. כמו שכתוב, אתם קרויים אדם. אבל הגוף נקרא בשר אדם. ונמשל כבהמות נדמה. So another thing, when we are talking about people, we don't speak about the body. We shouldn't, at least. right? So when you say I'm talking about Moshe, so I'm not talking about his body, I'm talking about his mind, about his soul, about him, what he is really. And when we are talking about the body, we call it basar adam, flesh, right? We're talking in our language. I want to speak about the body of someone. I will say the body of Moshe. I'm not saying Moshe. Moshe is his soul. The body of Moshe, I can also say the soul of Moshe, but it's a mistake, right? So when we're talking about Moshe, we're talking about the person, about his soul. When we want to speak about his body, we say the flesh. ונמשל כבהמות נדמה, רק כל עוד נשמתו בו, חשיבותו להיות מותר מן הבהמה. He said only when the soul is inside the body, then the body is more important than animals, than בהמה. But if you're talking about the body for itself, what's the difference between my body and the body of an animal? It's the same, right? We eat, drink, sleep. So there's no difference. The only difference that makes my body different from the body of animal is the fact that I have a soul, a divine soul inside myself. So that's exactly what he says. וזה שאמר הכתוב, this is the explanation of this verse. ויבן לו בית, כלומר בשביל עצמו. It says that he built house for himself, meaning for Yaakov, which is his soul. דהיינו חלק הנשמה עושה עיקר כי שם ביתו ואכן ייחד כל עשיותיו לצורך הנשמה. So all the things that Yaakov did in the world was for his soul, not for his body. That was he was focusing on, right? So that was a really thing that it was important for him, and that was he invest in most of his time and most of his efforts, and this is made himself a house. While למקנהו, what is מקנהו? Is his property, meaning the thing that he had, he owned, like he owned a body. So this is what he owned. He only made Suka, something temporal, not so important, right? אבל לקנהו לצורך נפש הבהמיות לא עשה רק סוכות. דהיינו משהו לצורך הגוף, היה לו רק דירת ארעי. ועל כן קרא שהמקום מושבו היה מרגל בפומה, שהוא רק הסיכה דירת ארעי לזמן קצרה, כגר וכאורח נטע ללון, רק היו עיניו וליבו תמיד אל התכלית לקנות שלמות לחיה עד לצורך הנשמה וקם. So he said, I live now in Sukkot, meaning in this world I like in Sukkah. So he said, he called this place Sukkot on the name of the animals, meaning of the body, he says, this is where I'm living right now. I'm here like in a sukkah, like temporal. But what I really build is a house. So this is the explanation. Let's see how it answers the 4 questions, right? The questions that he made in the beginning. He said 3 questions. What it teaches us. So it teaches us maybe the most basic lesson in Judaism. The most important part of our life is our Avodat Hashem, our service of Hashem, our spiritual life, our mitzvot, our maasim tovim. This should be the first priority. This is what the Torah wants to teach us in this verse. So it's quite an important verse according to that. We can learn that from many other places in the Torah, but this is also something that it's what we learn. It says, why did he build a house for himself if it's only a temporal place? In this temporal place, we can work on our house. This is like going to the fair. You are going to the fair in order to be able to, after that, build your house. Right? So when he says he built himself a house, meaning to his soul, in this world, he built this house, meaning all the mitzvot and maasim to him. That was his main focus, his main purpose in this world. And then he asked, why did he call this place Sukkot? On the name, he said, to this world, he says, this is my temporal place. Okay, so this is nice explanation. There are many versions of this explanation in the Chasidut about what is the priorities. And I think that it's important to remember that. I mean, it's not something very new you never heard before, right? That the soul is more important than the body. But it's something that is so basic and important, and that's the reason we tend to forget about that, right? It's important to emphasize and to learn and to return all the way to this, because in our daily life, we do change the priorities many times. We focus more in this world, in the thing that we want to achieve in this world, and forgot about our real purpose, which is the next world. So it's important to remember that this is the Sukkah and our real house in the next world. Okay, so this is the first explanation of Chasidut. There is another, there are many others. I'm not going to see all of them. Let me see which one we choose. We choose another one, okay? Another explanation, another one explanation. Let's see Sfat Emet, okay. So Sfat Emet also goes in the direction of Sukkah as the idea of Sukkot. and of the meaning of temporal and permanent house. Now, it's interesting. I just always say that Suka is a temporal house, but actually in the Talmud there is a machloket between Rebbe and Chachamim, which there are different opinions. If the Suka is called Dirat Keva, permanent house, or Dirat Arai, temporal house. Right? This is a machloket, and there are some differences. For example, how big it can be. If it's temporal, it shouldn't be so big. If it's too high. If it's permanent, it can be higher, right? So there are some. It's a halachic discussion. Some define the sukkah as meaning you have to build something for 7 days, but as a permanent place. And some say it should be like a temporal. And we are halacha l'maaseh, what we are saying, it's temporal. The sukkah is considered temporal. And he says, even though it's a machloket, kulam divrei Elokim chaim. So many times, halachically, we should decide as one opinion. But philosophically, or in the ideas, both sides can be true, right? Many times it's like that, right? In the practical way, life, you should choose between options. You can go in two different paths. But in the philosophical realm, there are placed to the two sides. That's the reason that's okay to have discussion. You go in your direction, ideology, I'm going in my ideology. So it's not always one truth. The truth is divided between different aspects. Okay, so he says also in this machloket between Dirat Keva and Dirat Arai, both opinion has truth inside. And he says, כי במצוות הסוכה יש הרבה בחינות, הכנעת הגוף להיות דירתו בעולם הזה ארעי, ויש גם קדושה בסוכה אשר הנשמה מתגברת ונעשית קבע, כמו שכתבנו לעיל, כי בכל מצווה יש בית בחינות הנ"ל. So he says, in every mitzvah that we are doing, there are two aspects. One aspect is to defeat the body, meaning the corporal tendencies, our desires, our yetzer hara. So there is one focus of the mitzvah is to win the powers of the temporal world. Okay? This is what it says, achna'at haguf. Lachnia is to defeat or to make him surrender. Right? So this is one of the purposes of the sukkah. And for the other side, יש גם קדושה בסוכה, אשר הנשמה מתגברת ונעשית קבע. From the other side, there is a holiness that feed your soul. So it's reducing the power of the body and increasing the power of the soul. This is the two aspects of mitzvah sukkah. It's the two things that we said maybe before. The sukkah is to, in some way, torture the body. From the other side, your soul is getting a lot of power. Okay, so the two aspects of the sukkah, this is fighting against the temporal, dirat arai, and strengthening the permanent, which is the soul, which is dirat keva. He said the same thing we can see on Shabbat. וכן גם, כמו כן בשבת קודש, זכור ושמור הם בית הבחינות הנ"ל. So you know that in certain dibrot we have zachor and shamor, zachor in shmot and shamor in dvarim, and zachor meaning remembering the Shabbat is a positive mitzvah, and shamor to keep Shabbat, to observe Shabbat, it's a negative, meaning the positive is to remember Shabbat. We are doing that through kiddush. When we are saying the kiddush is mitzvah deoraita of zachor yom Shabbat lekadshor, and we are observing Shabbat, but not doing melacha. By not doing melacha. Okay? So this is the two aspects of reducing the power of the body and increasing the power of the soul. הכנעת הגוף, ולכן כל המלאכות בטלים בשבת, וזהו בחינת שמור. להכניע, defeating the body, and that's the reason all the material actions, works are cancelled, unified on Shabbat, and this is the aspect of Shamor. וזכור הוא התגברות הנשמה, and זכור is the increasing or strengthening of the neshama. כדאיתא, Shabbat יומא דנשמתין ולאו דגופה. Like they say, I think in the Zohar, Shabbat is the day of the souls and not the day of the bodies. וימי המעשה ושבת הם בחינת גר ותושב כנ"ל. I won't enter to that. ובאמת, ימי המעשה בעולם הזה בעצם, ויש להם דבקות בעולם העליון. והשבת במקרה בעולם הזה, כי הוא מעין עולם הבא בעצם. So here it's using terms, philosophical terms that Maharal use a lot. We have עצם ומקרה. עצם is the things for itself, Mikre is something that is random, right? For example, this is a table. This is the essence of the thing that is a table. Now it's a brown. It could be pink or red, right? But this is random. This is mikre, right? So everything in all the things that in our world, we have the essence of the things itself, and then the random details of it, characters that can be changed and replaced without losing the essence, right? So it still will be table, even if we are changed that to red, right? Now, if we change from 2 legs for 4 legs, it still will be table, right? So what is making it table? Okay, so this is a philosophical question of how do you define the essence of things, okay? But anyway, he says, when we are talking about this world and the next world, he says this world, I mean, and it says about the days of the week and Shabbat. So the days of the week is essentially this world. The essence of them is this world, because we are walking in this world, but they have the vekut. They are connection, what? Had adherence, attachment to the what?
Maybe devotion?
No, the vekut to be attached, connected. So I think what he says, the days of the week is actually this world, and what בעולם הזה בעצם, the essence of is this world, and they have also attachment, connection to the next world, while in the Shabbat is the opposite. השבת במקרה בעולם הזה. It's not being in this world on Shabbat, so all the things of this world are random. It's not the essence of the day. We are קיום מעין עולם הבא בעצם. It's what it's really, we say Shabbat is like the next world, מעין עולם הבא. So what we are really on Shabbat, we don't feel it maybe sometimes, so we cannot elevate ourselves to this level, but we really live in the next world. It's just randomly is covered by the things of this world, right? Huh? Yeah, klipa. Klipat Shabbat is this world. And you say also, ובני ישראל שהם בני עולם הבא מצד הנשמה, ניתן להם השבת. So our soul belongs to the next world, to עולם הבא. How would you translate next word? עולם הבא. Next word? This is usually the way we say, world to come. So this is something that's confusing, but what I said before. World to come, meaning in the future, or next word in the future. Like I said before, עולם הבא also belongs to the past. Also in Hebrew, ba can be now coming. Yesterday, he came yesterday, ba. And in the future, הוא יבוא, עולם שיבוא. Right? But if you say olam haba, that is coming or that he came. Okay, so it's something that exists in all the time, before and after death. Okay? Yeah. It's a real place for the souls. We read temporarily leave it to come to this world, but this is a real from before and from after. When Mashiach comes, it's a big question. What's going to happen? If we're going to live forever, or just temporarily and then go to the next world again? And also if this world, when the Mashiach will come, or when in the future, will it be considered the next world? If this world will become the next world. All this is machloket between Rambam and Ramban. Or we can say between the Kabbalists and the philosophers. Right? Yeah.
So when you say like you're earning a portion in Olam Haba, what does that mean?
Meaning that in this mitzvot that we are doing, like we said before in the former saying, that in this mitzvot we are elevating our soul to become better in the next world. I don't know exactly to say in what meaning, because the Gemara said about Olam Haba, Ain lo ra'ata Elohim zulatecha. No one saw what does it mean, so no one can really understand. But by doing these actions in this world, we are elevating our soul in the next world, in the world of the souls. Anyway, that's the reason, because we belong to the next world in our essence, in the world to come in our essence. And Shabbat belongs to the world to come in its essence, be'etzem. So that's the reason that we were given Shabbat. That's the reason we got Shabbat, because of that. וצריך איש ישראל לבטל ימי המעשה לשבת. So you should לבטל, usually we would translate it as to cancel or to nullify, meaning they lose their importance without the connection with Shabbat, meaning all their purpose is Shabbat. The purpose of the 6 days of the week is to build Shabbat, right? Levatel yemei ha'maaseh el Shabbat, to unify them towards Shabbat, meaning that all the meaning comes from Shabbat. Chol machin leShabbat la'asoto ikar ba'olam. The days of the week, the day of the Chol are preparing for Shabbat to make it the main purpose. And the same idea, וכמו כן, כל ימי חייו להיות תורתו עיקר ומלאכתו ארעי. So also, in this same meaning, all our life, our good deeds, our learning of Torah, our mitzvot, should be the first priority, and our work, our things of this world, it should be the random, מלאכתו ארעי. כמו שכתוב, כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו והכל עניין אחד. All these ideas are the same idea. The Sukkah, the two aspects of Sukkah, the two aspects of Shabbat, all this saying of כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, these are our days, our life and days, which mean the Torah, and that this world is post-door, all the things that we say, this is the same idea. And then he said, ולכן במצוות הסוכה, we return into our topic, לאנשים גדולים ויחידים הוא דירת קבע, כמו שכתוב, ויבן לו בית. אבל למקנה הוא עשה סוכות, הרמז לאנשים פשוטים כמונו. This is funny. I will translate. He said, the mitzvah sukkah for the big people and the unique people, it's dirat keva, because the main part of the main purpose of the sukkah is to increase the holiness, right? That we said in the beginning. It's for the soul. So they emphasize this part of the sukkah. And for them, it's a permanent. This is dirat keva. So dirat keva is for the big people. The tzaddikim, yeah. That's what big people meaning the tzaddikim. And אבל למקנה הוא עשה סוכות, הרמז, so מקנה is for, it says simple people like us. So the אדמו"ר מגור, בשפת אם, it says simple people like us. שיש לנו מלחמות הגוף, that we have the fights of the body, meaning we are struggling, we have these challenges and with temptation of this world. So for ours, the main purpose of the sukkah is the aspect of the arai, of the fight in the body, not building the soul, right? So we have the two aspects, but what is the main part? All of us, we have dirat keva and dirat arai. The sukkah is to increase the holiness and also to reduce the body. What is the main part? So the tzaddikim, it's bait. The main part is the increasing the holiness. For us, the simple people, the main purpose is reducing the body. And that's the reason it's called sukkah. על כן קרא שם המקום סוכות. So Yaakov had these two aspects, right? He built for himself a house, and for the property he built sukkah, right? So he built for his soul, he built the house, it's permanent, and for the fight of the body, he built the sukkah. How he called the place? Sukkah. Why didn't call it house? Because for most of the people, this is the main purpose. Indeed, that's like הלכה. שכן הלכה דירת ארעי, בעינן דהלכה כרבים. He said the halacha is like the majority, so it's in double meaning. Because in the Gemara, it's machloket between Yachid, Rebbe, and Rabim, so he said halacha like Rabim. But also, Rabim, mean most of the people need more the aspect of Sukkah. And only the minority need the aspect of the house, or emphasize the part of the house. And that's the reason it's called Sukkot and not Bait. Okay, so this is how we explain this. Yeah, okay. Nice.
Then how do you explain that Yaakov went for the little vessels?
This is another story. But yeah, when we are saying that, it's easy to fall to the other side, to say, so all this world is not important. But it's not true. When we are saying this is our main purpose, we still need our vessels to be able to live in a way that we can acquire the next world. So the relationship between the material and the spiritual world is also always should be in balance. Usually we do emphasize the importance of this world, etc. So it's sometimes also important to remember that. This is a priority. Now, when we are talking about tzaddikim, and that it's you meant what we saw in the Parasha, that Yaakov returned because of the vessels, and Chachamim said that tzaddikim, המעונם חשוב עליהם יותר מגופם. For the tzaddikim, the property is more important from their body, because they don't steal. Since they don't steal, everything is important. So we can add to that acquiring property also becomes part of you in some aspect. Right? These are your tools. This is your sword when you are fighting in this world. So you need this sword. And while you acquire it honestly and in the right way, it's become part of your world. Okay, so still, you don't have to forget the priorities and always put the soul before the body. But then your body and your soul are extended to all of your property, all the things that you own, as part of this journey in this world to create the next one. So it doesn't come to annul all the other things, only to put the right priorities and to understand what are the means and what is the purpose, right? תודה. יישר כוח.
Thank you.
Thank you.
תודה
Bye,
רבה.